Can you see that? So I've been trying to start this introduction for some time now. And every time I try to start it, I go, this is not the beginning. This is going to be hard for someone who is just hearing this to be able to understand what's going on. And I realize, there's really nowhere to start that's going to be perfect. So just go ahead and start. So this has been something that has been developed over, I would say, a couple of years. It has definitely gotten more structured within the past 6 months or so. It could be longer. Has gotten definitely more structured. But there's a lot of information on here, and what I want to do is take some time to go through this with you. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to start the other segment, if you would call it that, of my video series. Seems like I do video series, then I just do a few, and then I'm like gone for 2 weeks or whatever. And here I am again. Not 2 weeks, like 2 months, 3 months. I think I've been off YouTube for a while. But I've developed this, and so what I've done this time, I wanted to put it in a way that I could have everything in order here for you. And so this is the consciousness evolution, or the liberation of consciousness. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you watch my series on the spiritual growth and development using the Kabbalah, you'll see where I explain that when we're born at a certain stage, and we sort of go through life, right? And the allegory of how long we are supposed to be here is 120 years. And within that 120 years, we are going to grow. We are going to go through our spiritual development. We are going to go through our physical development. We're going to have all these different things, right? That's what this is. Okay? That's what this is, from 0 to 120. But then it also goes through and it gives us from 0 right here all the way to 120 back on the other side, right? So it has a lot of different things in there, and it goes into multiple different directions. So I'm going to see if I can try to do my best to explain this system, and how does this fit in this part? Okay, this part has here where it's the 7 pillars of our third dimension, which you guys can go through the series that's online. This part, which is the spiritual growth and development, basically has it at time is an illusion, how that is. Number 3, this is the Terminsta, if you've seen that before. It's turning thoughts into things, and how that's the prison of self, okay, of our mental, that's the prison of self. And then here, this is how we operate in this third dimension, with the 3 most important aspects of life. So we start here understanding what all the principles are, and we go through that, all 7, right? Then you go through your spiritual growth and development. So you grow, and we have different stages as we grow. There are multiple stages that we grow through. different things that we learn as we go through it. Depending on where you are here will determine how you deal with the prison. All right. Or, because, that's the prison of self, what your thoughts are, how your mind works. And we go through that as well. As I said, this one is the illusion of time. Okay. So you'll be able to access different timelines as you go through. Here, we'll be able to basically break you out of prison. Interesting thing about prison is you can't tell if you're in prison if you're actually a prison guard, right? And the way in which these things are done is, I think I heard it once where it said, the best type of prison is the one where the prisoners are the prison guard. Okay, we are the prison guard here. There's a lot of us that guard that. This, as I said, is going to help us with you really operating in this third dimension, understanding what are the 3 different elements that is going to allow you to earn and grow and share and heal and all that, right? Understanding how that works in the outer circle, which is where you are. That's your sociology. That's where you grew up, who you grew up with. And then the philosophy that governs that, which means what it is that you were taught while you're growing. And, we have astrology. That's a part some may agree with and some may not. All right. So these are the 4 different stages that we go through in terms of our growth and development. So now, how can I explain? Maybe I should come over here instead, right? You'll see me better. How can I explain this to you? And I'll put a better picture of this on screen when I'm doing the editing, right? But the first part, and I'll highlight that, says the elusive spirit. And let me see if I can help you understand something that's going on here. Okay, we have circles. Okay, we have circles that's going on all around. And there are 4 main circles. And we have this part represents, I think I put it over on this side. Where is it? Okay, the underworld. Okay, part of it represents the underworld. Then we have Middle Earth, and we have the upper realm. Okay, as we grow through, we sort of have that. But as the principle says, that everything is a mirror principle, which means what's as above, so below. Okay, as within, so without. So here we have the elusive spirit. But spirit goes all the way around, and so you're back into the spirit at a certain age up here as you're going through it. Why is it elusive? Because we were born, when we were born in the first place, this is a line of forgetfulness, right? It's a line of forgetfulness. When we were born at 0, we forget. And so if you take the journey around the cosmos, because we have a cosmos inside of us as well. If you take the journey around the cosmos, okay, we're born here and then we descend into hell. The first 30 years is really a descent, okay? But that descent also reflects what's going on up here, because from 0 to 12, you still have the spirit within you. We have the spirit within us from 0 to 5, but then that gets kicked out by society. And then between 5 to 12, then the rest of it is gone. And so here, what's happening is we are moving out of spirit and then into soul. You say, wait a minute, why would we going to soul from 12 to 21? Well, depending on how old you are, just think about what happened during those years. So if you're older than 21, think about what happened during those years. You're really trying to identify your inside. Okay, that's your soul. You're identifying your inside. And so as you go through, you're trying to figure out your soul. But what's really happening is because you have lost the spirit, we're also losing our soul. And so we've lost our soul between ages 12 and 21, and then we go into ages 21 to 50, and that is where self comes in. So soul that we are trying to gather from 12 to 21 is going to be the catalyst for how we operate from 21 to 50. So it seems as if we are finding ourselves between 12 to 21, but in effect, we are losing our soul. Let me repeat that. It seems as if we are trying to find our soul, even though I think we call it finding ourself from 12 to 21, but we're losing it. And so the little part that we have, that's a part that's going to then affect how we operate in the rest of the world after 21. And if you think about it, it's like training. You go through certain things that might have, and then when you are 21, it's expected that you're an adult, right? As you're an adult, you're expected to have certain responsibilities. You are expected to be able to do things a certain way. That is how you're represented to the outer world, right? That's how you're represented to the outer world. That's self. And so there's a period of time when you're going to go through the attachment to self, the identification with self, the exploration with self, the trial and error, and stuff like that as you go through. As you get closer to 50, and remember, this is an allegory. So if you work with this in this age group, then the numbers that I'm talking about are the ages that you'll be at when different things happen. It's also possible that you'll be at different ages for different things, because again, time is an illusion, which means none of this will exactly stack up. However, this is a really good representation of how things are supposed to be. But it doesn't have to happen that way. This is time. Whether we're doing it like this or you're doing it like this, by going through the different ages, time is an illusion. And you can capture any one of these if you know certain things. So this is why I go through the Hermetic principles first, or the 7 pillars of our third dimension, because if you understand that, you might be able to go through this without going in order. However, there's an advantage of going through this in order. And what that advantage is that as you go through and you properly learn and properly indoctrinate, for lack of a better term, but understand and work with these things, you're more capable of then moving through to the next stage without having to go back, right? We have access to all of it, but going through it methodically will be our best bet. So we do that and we go through self, and then we get into the third dimension where we start to really question reality. All right. And if you're within this age, then that's some of the things that you'll start to recognize. You could be within that age and start to recognize it. You could be physically 21 and start to recognize it. or you could be physically in your 90s and haven't started recognizing it. That's it. Okay, so this development, as I said, time is an illusion, because time is going to be developing or going as fast or as slow as the individual is being developed. Then we cross over. So if we were to do it this way, we go down into Egypt, into death, into the darkness, right? The first 30 years, so to do that, and hopefully by the time we get to 30, we'll start to be a little bit more conscious, be a little bit more aware. And so this is the evolution. This is the evolution of consciousness. And so now your consciousness is going to start evolving, and it's expected, anticipated, would be nice, that by the time we're 60, we get to the line of remembrance. Remembrance, that's putting things together. Remember. Okay? That's putting things together. And so as you get to that line, you're going to look at 3D a little bit differently. You're going to have detachment from the stuff that you have just attached to. And so a lot of these things that are up here will maybe not make any sense. And when I went through the spiritual growth and development using the Kabbalah, I did mention that it's going to be hard to sort of explain some of these things that's happening. But what you're going to go through the 3D, then you're going to go back through self, because now you have to detach yourself from certain things. You have to understand how the self work and what's there. Then you're going to go through the soul. Then you're going to go through the spirit. And so your consciousness evolves. And if we were to take that through as we go here, our consciousness evolves. And our consciousness is going to evolve. This seems like it's a downward pattern where we're going back down here into death. This is where we're going back to repeat the process. If you believe in that, we repeat the process. So you go back down to do that, you forget again, and then you go back through the stage. And there are different things that we do at different time periods. So as we go through the period, then at different stages we'll be required to do different things. So if we take it in the circle, we have the feminine principle that's here. And so the underworld is really considered the feminine chaos. Okay? Then when we come over to the other side, where we have in the other side of the underworld, it's the feminine to masculine principle. And that's separation. Okay? Because we were in the chaos. And in the feminine to masculine principle separates everything. And here we're sort of confused with things because it's not together. As you pass through, though, that separation becomes very orderly, and the masculine principle is considered order. Okay, so you're going to be in the masculine order, and that's going to be in the upper world. From 90 onwards, this is where we have the Trinity. The other side of the upper realm is where the masculine to feminine is getting combined. The masculine to feminine is more the divine union. So as much as the feminine to masculine is separation, the feminine to masculine is a divine union. And so that's why here we can approach this side without fear, because the divine union represents us being in a higher state of consciousness that will allow us to go through that period. So that's how we sort of go through it in this way, and where we have it looks like the yin and the yang. I'm not sure if you can see that sine wave that's there. It's actually it's a sine wave, just the same way that you have that sine wave going through. And we might talk more about sine wave later on and how this represents the line of the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. That's there because this is a part of what's considered the holy science and how everything works together. And I'd like to also mention that on September 21st, I think it's so September 20th to the 25th, I am planning on going to the middle of the earth to celebrate the beginning. And what's really happening there? I have a couple of things that's happening. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is a fall equinox. And the fall equinox is not a time when we celebrate as a beginning. We actually celebrate that more of the fall and the decline because we're going into winter. I tend to believe that it is our planting season, right? You can't rise without having something going on the ground first. And so what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to go to the middle of the world for, you can call it a retreat. It will be a 5-day experience, and it will be from September 20th till the 25th. And within that period of time, we're going to have a new moon. And to me, if this is 0, that's 0. That's the east. That's the fall. If you know anything about if you're doing astrology or whatever, that's the fall right there. That's also the fall month that's gonna start, right? This is the underworld. So what we're doing is we're descending into the underworld before we come back up on the other side. A lot of cosmic science that's actually in that one. I want to be there. We're in Ecuador. Didn't tell you where it was going to be. In the middle of the earth in Ecuador to experience the fall equinox. And so we're going to have the new moon. There's also going to be an eclipse on the other side of the world, which is really interesting. While we're experiencing the fall on one side, the eclipse is going to be on the other side. That is so auspicious, if you were to say that, right? Which is almost like the dark that's getting enveloped by the light. And so, yeah, so I want to go there for that period of time. And so I'm going in the description below, I am going to put some information in there about what it's all about, or I'm going to put some information on what it's all about, like where I am planning to go, what are the different things that I'm going to be doing on different days. If you would like to come, you can send me information on that. I'll let you know how to get in touch with me on that. This is not something where I am charging anyone for anything. I am going to be there to do certain things myself, and I would love to have anybody else that can join in. I have information for certain places that I would want to, that I'm going to stay, and I need to book it by the 11th of August. So I'm doing this between now and the 11th of August, and each week be able to let each individual know, or each week to let you guys know that you have an opportunity to join me there. People who are joining me there will be treated to my training on the illusion of time. This training will be coming out after, but of course there are going to be certain things that's going to be here that won't be in the video. All right, so I think that's all I have for now. And as the weeks progress, we'll talk a little bit more about the system as it is, give you more information on the different ones. Okay, so that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, give this video a like, thumbs up, share, please. I would really love to see you there in Ecuador with us on September 20th to the 25th. All right, so until next time, bye.